Hi, welcome to Teach the Word. This is a quick share from based off Psalm 30. We'll read the psalm and talk about it. Heavenly Father, we ask that your word would cut to our hearts, that it would pierce through dullness of our minds and hardness of who we are and change us. We ask that this psalm would touch us at the deepest part of our beings where we need to be touched. So this is a psalm, a song at the dedication of the house of David. That's the title, or in English, and it's the first verse in Hebrew. I will extol you, O Lord, for you have lifted me up, and have not let my foes rejoice over me. O Lord my God, I cried out to you, and you healed me. O Lord, you brought my soul up from the grave. You have kept me alive, that I should not go down to the pit. That's the first stanza. It's a recollection of a time where things were real bad. I thought he was going to die, going down to the pit, his death. But God saved him, right? He brought his soul up from the grave. So he's praising God for the great works that he has done in the past when his life was looking really bad. Things were looking really bad. Now they're not, but they were, and God intervened. The next stanza is just sort of in general the extolling that he said he was going to do. Sing praise to the Lord, you saints of his. Give thanks to the remembrance of his holy name. For his anger is but for a moment. His favor is for life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. This is a theme of the psalm. You have bad times, good times. Bad times, good times. And, the bad times is when you're facing God's anger, right? But that's just for a moment. But his favor is for a lifetime. Or weeping is for the night, but joy comes in the morning. It's God coming in and rescuing David out of bad times. Weeping, bringing joy out of when he's facing God's anger, and then bringing God's favor into David's life. All right, so now he's in a situation where he's prospering. He's doing great. So that's this next stanza. Now in my prosperity, I said, I will never be moved. Lord, by your favor, you have made my mountain stand strong. You hid your face, and I was troubled. So that stanza right there, which is the center of the psalm, is what really caught my eye. He's talking about how he's enjoying prosperity, how he has probably he says in his prosperity, I'm never going to be moved. I'm like a strong mountain. I've got all this wealth. He's the king. He's having military victories. He's amassing wealth, and he thinks I'll never be moved. I'm in my prosperity. And then there's no transition, all in the same stanza. You hid your face, and I was troubled. Something that happened to David a lot. He was driven out of his kingdom by a revolt, his son rebelling against him. Or that happened actually with two of his sons. But just an example from the history of the life of David. But if this is a song for the dedication of the house of David, that's much earlier in his life, before those events happened. So even before those big events in his life, there was other events where he felt like life was awesome. He was enjoying prosperity, and then he was having trouble, enduring trouble. You hid your face, and I was troubled. So we'll move on to the fourth stanza. I cried out to you, O Lord, and to the Lord I made supplication. What profit is there in my blood when I go down to the pit? Will the dust praise you? Will it declare your truth? Hear, O Lord, and have mercy on me. Lord, be my helper. So he goes from this prosperity where his mountain's never going to be moved to God hiding his face, and now he's crying out to God for life again because he's in dire straits. He's enduring hardship. And then the last stanza. You have turned for me my mourning into dancing. You have put off my sackcloth and clothed me with gladness, to the end that my glory may sing praise to you and not be silent. O Lord my God, I will give thanks to you forever. So the stanzas are just something that this translation, I'm reading New King James, is adding, right? It's an English way of depicting the poetry. And that's not like something that we know. We don't know how David divided his work into stanzas, but the translators divided it into these 5 stanzas, and it's just a helpful way for talking about it. I was reading a stanza at a time. Helps me see where I stopped, start reading again. But it's important to know that. Those are added by the translator. But this psalm just jumped out at me this week, especially, like I said, that middle stanza, stanza number 3, where prosperity, great times, seamless transition into hard times. And that's like the theme of the psalm. You had the beginning of the psalm, he was in bad times, and he cried out to God. God brought him out of the bad times. God brings him into, then he has this talk about sorrow, weeping for a night, joy in the morning, anger for a moment, favor for a lifetime, turning my mourning into dancing, put off my sackcloth, clothe me with gladness. It's like almost like it's cyclical, and that's the thing that caught my eye, is that I think ministered to me, and I hope ministers to you, that life with God, life as a believer in relationship with God, just like King David's life, has ups and it has downs. There's good times and bad times, joy and sadness, mourning and sadness. And the trick, or the important thing, is in the horrible times, in the sadness and the depression, to not buy the lie that this is it. This is what it's going to be like forever, because joy comes in the morning. Life isn't just static. There's ups and there's downs. So, and the down times, don't think this is it. Know that up times are coming. But then in the up times, don't be arrogant like David. And in verse 6, now in my prosperity I said, I shall never be moved. Lord, by your favor you have made my mountain stand strong. And then you hid your face and I was troubled. So don't think, oh, I'm up, I'm riding the cloud. This is it. I've arrived. I'm in prosperity because of the Lord. No, you're going to have cycles. So that is hopefully an encouragement to us, wherever we are, that there's good ahead. There's also bad ahead, but we don't trust in our circumstances. We trust in our God. That's the whole point of this psalm. It's about the Lord. The Lord is the one who brings us through the prosperity and through the sorrow, the trouble, the bad times. So that's enough said. Hopefully that's encouragement to you. That's Psalm 30. Thanks for listening.